Hey guys, so for my next bet, I'm betting 600 to win 220 on Anthony Joshua money line against Alexander Usyk, and then I'm also going to be betting $1,000 to win around 150 to 200, depending on what the odds end up being on Canelo versus Caleb Plant. Um, for both of the bets, I would say probably bet them as soon as you can because I think the odds are just going to get worse for both of them. I'm assuming money's going to go on Joshua because he's the more popular guy against Usyk, and the same thing with Canelo. So yeah, I would just say make the bet sooner rather than later. But I might be wrong. I don't even know if the odds will actually change that much. But my plan is to bet them as soon as possible, and I already made my Joshua bet. Before I get into my picks, there's a few things I want to say about my betting. So for my last video, I said I was going to bet 5,000 on Spence against Pacquiao, and then I said I was going to bet 800 on the Wilder and Fury fight to go over 7.5 rounds. So the Spence and Pacquiao fight got canceled because Spence had a torn retina like 10 days before the fight. So Pacquiao went and fought Ugas instead. And then the Wilder and Fury fight got postponed to October 9th because Fury tested positive for COVID. And, so right now boxing's really just kind of in a bad place. I don't even know if that Fury and Wilder fight will happen. It's been postponed so many times, even though it's supposed to be for October 9th. I'm kind of worried like something's going to stop it again or it'll get canceled or something. And just, going forward, I don't really know what I'll be betting on because, for example, I wanted to bet big when Spence fought Pacquiao, but I also wanted to bet big if Spence fought Terence Crawford, but that also looks like that fight won't happen. And even if, look in the lower weight classes, like, for example, in the, pretty much lightweight, the divisions, 130 to 135, you got Gervonta Davis, Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez, and like all those guys are top guys, and not one of them has even fought each other. So in terms of competitive fights in boxing, it's just, I don't know, it's kind of just in a bad place, and I'm not really sure what's going to happen going forward. I don't know, I don't even know how many, I might just be done betting, like, I don't know, like looking forward, I can't see many big bets coming in the future. I was pretty disappointed the Spence fight was going to be one of the first times I bet big, and then yeah, I don't know what to say. I would just say going forward, I think it's going to be pretty rare that I'll bet more than $1,000. Even the Canelo fight against Plant, he's going to be like a 6-1 favorite or something. He was a pretty big favorite against Saunders, but even that's kind of shaky. Maybe some bets that I missed would be when Spence fought Garcia. I should have probably bet a lot more. But Mikey Garcia, when Canelo fought Callum Smith, I guess I could have bet a little more. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'm just not too excited. Just the way these fights are shaping up, I don't see that many opportunities to make a lot of money. But back to the bets that I am making this time. So Joshua against Usyk. I thought Usyk is pretty good, and I remember thinking, when they were talking about him fighting Joshua a few years ago, I remember thinking, this could be a dangerous fight. But Usyk hasn't looked so good in his fights since moving up to heavyweight. And, it is a really big jump to make because when you're going from cruiserweight to heavyweight, you're going, if you're going from, the limit, the 200-pound limit, or you have to, cruiserweight to 200 pounds and heavyweight's above 200. But the thing is, it doesn't go, from 200 to 210. It goes from 200 to, 250, 260 because the heavyweights are so big nowadays. And, like a fight that comes to mind, if you remember when Roy Jones Jr. went against John Ruiz and won a portion of the heavyweight belt after coming up from cruiserweight or light heavyweight. That's very different. Obviously, I don't think Usyk is as good as Roy Jones Jr. was, and Joshua's a lot better than John Ruiz. And I think, too, that there's been a little bit of an overreaction to when Joshua lost to Andy Ruiz, because it seemed like he was constantly, 10-1 or 8-1 favorites, and then ever since he lost to Ruiz, it seems like his odds have gotten a lot closer. He was 2-1 in the rematch. I think he was only 7 or 8-1, maybe 10-1 against Pulev. No, I think he was probably 10-1 against Pulev, and then against Usyk, he's only right now he's only minus 275 on most betting sites. So yeah, I like the Joshua bet. I think it's really good. I mean, I think it'd be really hard for Usyk to win a decision, especially if Joshua and Fury is a possibility down the road. And so you think for Usyk to win, he would really have to dominate the fight. And I just think that's unlikely. I think Joshua's going to be too big for him. I mean, most likely, I think Joshua knocks him out in the later rounds, maybe rounds 8 through 12, or he wins a decision. But I think it's a pretty safe bet. I'll see. I might bet a little more, but whatever. I'm still not super confident in Joshua, so it's not something I want to risk a ton of money on, because yes, Usyk is really good. But I just think it's too much weight he's trying to make up to, come from cruiserweight and fight a really, really big heavyweight like Joshua, someone who's like 250 and great champion. The other fight is Canelo versus Caleb Plant. So for that bet, I'm betting 1,000 on Canelo, and it's pretty much just, I feel like essentially anytime Canelo fights, you gotta bet at least 1,000 on him, because he's a sure thing. I don't think he can lose. I don't think there's anyone right now he can lose to. Yeah, I mean, he's in his prime. He's amazing. He's beaten everyone except for Mayweather. He had a draw against Triple G. I mean, whatever. They had 2 very close fights. Yeah, Caleb Plant, I think he's pretty good. He has looked pretty good in his fights, and I don't know. I just think he's not enough. I mean, he hasn't really had that much tough competition, and yeah, he is good. But again, the same thing with that fight too. I think it'd be very hard for Caleb Plant to win a decision against Canelo, and it seems pretty much impossible to knock out Canelo, especially at 168. So yeah, I'd say those are both pretty safe bets. I'm not betting that much, but so yeah, 600 on Joshua, and I'll bet at least 1,000 on Canelo, and I'll update in the comments how much I do end up betting on both of the fights before the fights happen. But yeah, so I'm in both those fights. I would say bet the sooner you bet, the better. All right, that's all for now, guys. Canelo money line and Anthony Joshua money line. All right, have fun and go make some money. See you guys.